Welcome, digital detectives and lovers of star-crossed intrigue, to a brand new, pulse-quickening edition of Turkish series stars. We live in an age where a swipe can turn a living room into a stage and a whisper into a headline. Live streams have become the modern red carpet, no velvet ropes, just a phone held a little too close to life itself. And last night, in the calm glow of a screen, that fragile line between public and private rippled in a way that no one saw coming. What began as an intimate chat ended as the most talked-about riddle of the week. Akin, the intensely private leading man with a gaze that carries whole storylines, welcomed fans into his home, and yet, if you listen closely, someone else seemed to already be there. A voice, soft but distinct, threaded through the air. Was it Ebru? Did we, for 2 charged seconds, overhear the echo of a rekindled connection? Before we lean in and replay those seconds in our heads, join our investigation, subscribe to the channel, tap the bell so you don't miss a twist, and if you crave deeper dives in the sharpest breakdowns, hit the join button. Your support keeps our spotlight bright and our ears finely tuned. Ready to dissect the moment that stole the night? Let's begin. The evening started with a promise of simplicity. No studio gloss, no scripted PR lines, just Akin in the quiet sanctuary of his home. He went live without warning, the kind of surprise that makes loyal fans feel chosen. The lighting wasn't cinematic, it was kind, unfiltered, a lamp casting warm halos across books and a neatly folded throw. Akin wore comfort the way he wears intensity on screen, effortlessly, convincingly. The vibe was so personal that viewers felt like guests, invited to sink into an armchair and share a coffee while he chatted. At first, everything flowed like the familiar rhythm of a soft conversation. Akin, candid but measured, talked about long hours on set, about scripts that challenge him, about the discipline that shapes his day. He joked about his training regimen, teased future announcements he wasn't quite ready to reveal, and thanked fans from every corner of the globe. The chat bubbled with affection and playful questions. It was serene, almost meditative, the kind of live that reminds you why fans cross time zones just to catch a few minutes with their favorite star. Nothing hinted at turbulence. No one suspected that this calm would turn into the storm everyone is still talking about. Midway through the stream, with thousands tuned in, came the fracture in the silence. It was quick, a blink, a breath, and yet it rewired the evening. As Akin began answering a question about his workout preferences, a woman's voice drifted lightly behind the camera, cushioned by the acoustics of a nearby room. Not a television. Not the street. Close. Inside. Akin. The name, carried on a familiar timbre, reached the phone's microphone. A few more words followed, too hushed to be deciphered. But that first note rang clear. Across the world, viewers paused, eyes narrowed, minds replaying the second in a loop. Did they hear what they thought they heard? The chat detonated. Playful hearts were replaced with punctuation storms. Was that Ebru? Who's in the house? Did anyone else catch that? The tone shifted from cozy to electric. Longtime followers, the kind who can recognize a cadence from a single syllable, began insisting they knew that voice. For fans who'd fallen in love with the pair's on-screen chemistry and never quite let go of what-ifs, the resonance was unmistakable. Claims shot across timelines in seconds, "It's Ebru." It wasn't a question anymore, it was a certainty wrapped in wishful hearing and sharp memory. Friends of Turkish series stars, this is where your instincts come in. Be honest. Can a single word really carry enough texture to identify a person? Or did desire lean in and sharpen the edges? Tell me where you stand, and remember, I always look for member badges first when diving into theories. Now, let's talk about what happened on camera. If poise were a sport, Akin would have taken gold. As the chat ignited and clips started bouncing across timelines, he held steady. He didn't flinch. He didn't cut the stream. He didn't throw a glance over his shoulder or make a shushing motion. He continued answering the fitness question like the moment hadn't happened at all. But fans, in their gift for microanalysis, watched his face like it was the final scene of a thriller. Some swore they saw it, a heartbeat of stillness, a blink a shade too fast, the ghost of a half-smile tugging at the corner of his mouth the instant after the voice said Akin. Was that a tell? A private acknowledgement? Or simply a human reaction, the body bracing against a surprise while the mind decides not to pour gasoline on it? His choice to glide past the moment split the audience right down the middle. One side offered him the benefit of the doubt, he had nothing to hide, they argued, the voice could belong to a relative, a friend, a colleague. The other side saw strategy, if he can't deny it without lying, silence keeps the peace. Either way, the hush around the moment became its loudest echo. Meanwhile, social media did what social media does. Twitter, Instagram, and group chats turned into forensic labs. Clips of the Akin moment were slowed, volume levels pushed to the brink, filters applied in search of clean sound. People compared the syllable to old interviews, behind-the-scenes reels, anything with Ebru's voice on it. The intonation is a match, a fan posted with confident authority. Listen to the vowel shape, said another, suddenly an expert in phonetics. Skeptics threw water on the flames, it could be anyone. Don't jump. But the idea of a secret reunion, of a door quietly reopening, was too irresistible. Headlines started blooming. Did Akin and Ebru reconcile? A surprise guest in Akin's late-night live. The comments beneath the stream transformed into real-time interrogation. Akin, are you alone? Who just called your name? Blink twice if it's who we think it is. Protective voices tried to redirect the room, respect his privacy. He owes no explanations. But curiosity, persistent and hungry, kept circling back. Even entertainment desks began silently tuning in, hoping for a stray remark, a slip that would unlock an exclusive. It was as if 2 seconds of sound had become a key, and everyone wanted to see which door it fit. Here's the sobering truth about fame in this hyper-connected moment: fans aren't just watching, they're investigating. Over the years, little corners of Akin's home have made cameo appearances. A framed print glimpsed near a hallway, a stack of scripts on a coffee table, a patterned throw that showed up more than once. Last night, armchair detectives paused and zoomed again. That lamp. That console. A blurred photo frame in the distance. Clues were everywhere for those who wanted to find them. Quiet whispers from industry-adjacent circles, the kind of sources who never speak loudly but always seem to know, have long suggested that Akin and Ebru never lost the thread entirely. Maybe their public narrative cooled, but the private line stayed open, woven with respect and shared history. Her presence in his space at that hour, if it truly was her, would imply a comfort that doesn't spring from nowhere. The silence that followed mattered. No representative stepped forward to deny, no cheeky Instagram story appeared, no tidy clarification wrapped the moment up. Akin posted a couple of neutral shots later, nothing too telling, nothing that even nodded toward the chatter. Ebru, the queen of poise herself, offered nothing to fan the embers or douse them. And in publicity calculus, absence often speaks. Sometimes it's a deliberate let them speculate, a strategy that keeps everyone talking without committing to a narrative. Sometimes it's a quieter truth, a refusal to lie, a choice to hold the real story close. When the live wound down, Akin thanked everyone with the same sincere courtesy that opened the night. No tour of the apartment, no offhand that was the neighbor, no reveal. He simply wished viewers well and ended the stream, leaving a million question marks hovering in the digital air. The charm of that restraint, depending on where you stand, either soothed or stung. The internet, of course, archived the moment as if it were a priceless artifact. The clip now lives on every gossip corner, endlessly replayed, analyzed, and argued over. So what comes next? Does Ebru post a photo with a background that suspiciously matches a certain lamp? Do paparazzi begin a quiet vigil, hoping to catch a shadow where it shouldn't be? Does a mutual friend slip, liking a comment they shouldn't? The pressure can climb steeply after a tiny sound like this. That's the paradox of openness. By allowing fans into his living room, Akin made the room itself part of the story. Maybe he forgot to shut the door on the world, or maybe, just maybe, he chose to crack it. There's a reason we're captivated by whispers. It's not the noise that thrills us, it's the suggestion. A single syllable can stitch together memory and longing, possibility and restraint. Last night's fragment felt like that, a delicate string plucked by accident or design, humming with all the meanings we want it to hold. Personally, I tend to believe there's always a spark behind smoke, and that voice carried the ease of someone who stands where they belong. But only two people know if that comfort comes from past habit, present reality, or something ready to bloom again. Now I want your verdict. Was it Ebru Sahin, yes or no? Tell me how certain you are and what tipped you in one direction. And if you want us to keep chasing every echo, frame, and breadcrumb from your favorite stars, make sure you're subscribed to Turkish series Stars, with notifications on. If you value deep dives and careful listening, consider joining our members-only circle by pressing the join button. Your support keeps our lights warm and the volume turned up at just the right level. Thank you for sharing this charged night with me. Until the next broadcast, maybe the one where the mystery becomes a confession, or at least a wink, stay curious, stay kind, and keep your antennas tuned. We'll be here, magnifying glass in hand, waiting for the next whisper that changes everything.